We now present For the Record.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Will Keneally. We start this week with a landmark case heard in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It's one of the first major cases that we've seen the High Court debate since it flipped to a liberal majority this August. The case is a challenge to the state's legislative districts. Democrats are alleging an unlawful gerrymander. And if the current maps are overturned, Republicans could see less power in the state capitol. And that appears an all but certain conclusion, as some of the conservative justices on the court appeared frustrated.
Everybody knows that the reason we're here is because there was a change in the membership of the court.
This is not the first time the court has heard challenges to the state's legislative districts. Wisconsin redrew its maps after the 2020 census, and that process was the subject of lengthy lawsuits. Now, the Wisconsin Supreme Court actually sided with the state's Democratic governor to use his maps. But after another challenge to the U.S. Supreme Court, the swing justice on the Wisconsin bench changed his mind and cast the deciding vote to put in place maps drawn by the Republican legislature.
Respect for prior decisions is fundamental to the rule of law. Stare decisis is the preferred course of judicial action because it promotes even-handed, predictable, and consistent development of legal principles and contributes to the actual and perceived integrity of the judicial process.
The court could issue a decision within a matter of weeks or months here. They'll need to work relatively quickly if they want new maps put in place before next fall's election. Candidates in those races will actually start circulating their nomination papers next spring. Now, getting to this court case has been a long time coming for many advocates, including former state senator Dale Schultz. He's a longtime figure in the state capitol representing the Richland Center area for decades. He's been pushing for a process to draw fair maps. And we caught up with him earlier in the week during a break in the Supreme Court arguments.
So obviously redistricting has been kind of on the docket for a while now. You've been working on it for a while. So
10 years.
Yeah. If you could just kind of briefly describe what led to this point today that we're seeing this morning.
Well, initially we went around the state and drummed up support, Senator Tim Cullen and I, and we were joined by a very able group of legislators over the years who continued to advance the effort, and a number of other people around the state. Eventually we went to the United States Supreme Court, where the court basically said, you're in the wrong place. This is a state matter. You have to take it to the state court in Wisconsin. And here we are, a number of years later, having the arguments in front of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and I've been downstairs in the overflow room, listening intently and thinking about the past 10 years as well as the arguments as they're being presented.
And it's rare to see, obviously, you're a Republican, Senator Cullen's a Democrat. It's weird to see both sides of the aisle, this day and age, work together on it. Is that emblematic of just the issue that we're seeing?
Well, I think it's, first of all, too bad, because democracy is something that both sides should embrace. And I think that's the spirit that, we decided to get involved in this issue. Redistricting has been going on since Elbridge Gerry began the process back in Massachusetts many, many years ago, but never until the most recent redistricting was the employment of analytics and computers used, which dramatically skewed the impact of the redistricting process. And I think, frankly, made the entire process undemocratic, and that's what led both of us to be involved. We had both been around in the majority and the minority multiple times, and we recognized that democracy was the most important thing if we were going to maintain faith in our system of government. And we know, or knew I should say, that both political parties had been guilty of gerrymandering in the past, and it was time for it to stop. I still believe that. I think the people believe that, and we'll see what happens, what the court does.
I'm curious, too, we're kind of in an intermission with arguments behind us right now. What are you making of the argument so far?
Well, I've probably a little bit unique among Wisconsin legislators. I'm not an attorney, but on occasion I would go down and listen to the arguments before the court. So I'm used to the fact that the justices have the authority and the ability to interrupt the speakers who are making their arguments to ask questions. And you really get to see some intellectual heavyweights at work. The people who come here are smart people, and I have to say I couldn't be prouder of the court that we have right now. They have a strong difference of opinion on many issues, but all of them, I think, are acquitting themselves very well and are asking very pointed questions, attempting to tease the best out of those folks that are making oral arguments to them.
It's fascinating because we hear such contention around the current makeup of the court right now. And you say you're proud of the
Well, you know, I was of the Supreme Court, I think, virtually the entire time I was in the legislature. I am aware of the partisanship that has entered in to the process, and that's a shame. I'd like to believe that people who run for the courts can represent and fairly judge for everyone. In fact, one of the things I'm most proud of is when Democrats and Republicans in Richland County got together and supported our district attorney for a court seat on the Court of Appeals. I bring that up because it's the way I think the system should work. We shouldn't have Republican judges and Democrat judges, and I think most judges feel that way, even though the pressure is there. And I don't see any real partisanship on display today. What I see is hard questions by judges who are trying to get at the truth and who, yes, have experience and opinions, but I think their questions are on point. And it's fun and interesting. It might be a little nerdy, I'll admit that, but you know, I think more people should take the time to come in and listen to their court. And you know, they can certainly get a flavor of it when they listen to your broadcast. And if they really want an in-depth view, they can always go to Wisconsin Eye, which does a terrific job as well.
If you had to stare into your crystal ball at all after this morning, do you have a sense of what a ruling might look like on this case?
Well, I think that you're going to see on the first issue about contiguity that's going to get the ball rolling on behalf of the plaintiffs. And then I think the real question is going to be whether or not the court is going to want to draw their own map, or whether they're going to ask both parties to come up with a new map on each side that they can pick from. And their rationale for doing that is to sort of force the parties to be real about being fair. And that puts them at risk. Frankly, I think there's a point to be made for that approach, but actually I think it would be better to, at least from my point, to see somebody from the outside come in and redraw all the maps. I think that will create a sort of a shock to the system that will be therapeutic in the long run. Maybe people will be fair with one another if they have to worry about a court coming in, disregarding where they live, and suggesting that they have no claim to their seat whatsoever.
When we come back, next week marks Giving Tuesday, a day of charity during the holiday season. We'll have more from a local charity group on how you can make a difference in our community here. We'll be right back after this.
This portion of News 3 Now is sponsored by Madison Gas and Electric.
You've been together for so long. Now it could be the end. Fortunately, you took your 6 sewing machine to the Electric Needle. They have the skills to fix most machines within 7 to 10 days. Find sewing success at the Electric Needle on the frontage road of Seminole Highway.
This is Kathy. She's about to see her dentist. She's afraid. Not because of the drill, but because of the bill. A big bill. But Kathy doesn't need to be afraid, and neither do you, thanks to affordable dental insurance from Physicians Mutual Insurance Company. It's easy to get this coverage. Don't believe me? Call or go online for all the details. You could even have this free information kit. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance. It helps pay for over 400 procedures. That's a lot. I'm talking cleanings, fillings, crowns, bridges, root canals, even dentures. Bottom line, you'll have help paying for routine care and expensive major work. But if you want deductibles, forget it. There aren't any. No annual maximum either. Plus, you can see any dentist you want. Stop fearing the big bill. Start saving at the dentist. Call now or go to sendinfokit.com.
Physicians Mutual, Physicians Mutual.
Okay, so I'm not sure I could even talk about this, but US Cellular has a new deal where you can get literally any Samsung Galaxy for free.
You're so right. That's a totally awesome deal.
And it's just in time for gift-giving season, too.
My business sense says that's a great deal.
I'm gifting mine to my son.
Excuse me, it's work. Talk to me.
What a boss.
New and current customers can get any Samsung Galaxy free. Get the gift of connection at US Cellular.
Congratulations! It's a new sewing machine from the Electric Needle. It's more accurate than older models and has hassle-free threading. Plus, it comes with free unlimited owner's lessons. Find sewing success at the Electric Needle. Frontage Road off Seminole Highway.
Welcome back. We have Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, but this coming Tuesday marks Giving Tuesday, a day of generosity during the holiday season. Joining us now to talk about what kind of impact we can make here in our community is Sherry Dubiel, Executive Director of Community Shares of Wisconsin, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so can you describe a little bit about just kind of who you guys are,
Sure.
what you do in the community?
Sure. Community Shares of Wisconsin. We are, in fact, the oldest social justice fund in the country. We've been around since 1971, and we are a federated fundraising organization. We represent about 70 nonprofits that are working on advocating for civil rights, voting rights, healthy food systems, housing advocacy, and environmental protection. So a lot of awesome groups in the community that you can give to on Giving Tuesday.
And so we were chatting a little bit off there about, we're post-pandemic, right? But as you look back over this past year, where do you see some of those areas of greatest need here in the community?
Right. Well, there's certainly been, the pandemic has impacted every industry for sure. And I think at the beginning of the pandemic, when there was cash being sent out to everybody and some folks had extra funds to give, there was an increase in generosity in the community. And there continues to be, but folks are a little more strapped now than they used to be. And not just individuals facing need in the community, but also individuals who give on Giving Tuesday or make their year-end donations. And so what we're seeing is, of course, an increase in need in basic needs, basic services in the community, things like food banks, clothing, rental assistance, that type of thing. But all charitable organizations right now are seeing a bit of a decrease in giving this year and looking for help. So there's a lot of need out there and a lot of groups doing excellent work in the community.
And you think of Wisconsin, the weather's starting to change too.
Exactly.
Is there anything specific that we're seeing kind of now as we turn to November, turn towards the holidays in a place like Wisconsin and Madison?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think certainly folks who are without homes and relying on living on the streets, there's an increase of need now for those folks. People who, there's an increase, a good friend who is the executive director of a food bank was letting me know that the need at food banks right now is extreme and continues to increase. And of course, as you mentioned, colder weather, kids need warm clothing, coats, mittens, hats. We all do, not just kids, but there's lots of opportunities to support those types of events as well.
And so I think when you talk about, giving to a nonprofit, you want to make sure that your money is obviously going to stay in your local community if that's what you're hoping for, and also that you get kind of the most bang for your buck.
Right.
Do you have any advice for people as they're kind of thinking about where they might want to donate this holiday season?
Yeah, I think that industry-wide and community-wide, we are seeing a return to the importance of the small donor who can give small amounts. We always, of course, rely on donors who can make large gifts, and folks who can give through their donor-advised funds are always greatly appreciated. But in times like this, the average person who can give a few dollars on Giving Tuesday, for example, it's a perfect opportunity for folks to consider giving back back when they're looking at making their holiday gift purchases, etc. And I think also that organizations like Community Shares of Wisconsin, our entire history of our founding of our organization has been focused on the democratization of philanthropy. So we make sure that all people, regardless of the amount they have to give, have an opportunity to support charities. And we do that through workplace giving, Giving Tuesday, of course. Our folks, all of the member groups at Community Shares of Wisconsin that you'd like to give to, if you go to our webpage at communityshares.com, each of our member groups on our donate page receive 100% of your gift during Giving Tuesday and actually all year round. We also do workplace giving. And then another example of this type of giving is the Big Share, which Community Shares conducts the first Tuesday in March every year. And this is another example of an opportunity for people to give on their phones, on their laptops, while they're at work, make a quick donation. And we believe, and I think Giving Tuesday is a perfect example of the type of impact that large groups of people can have with even small donations. And so we ask people this year, you know, I know we're all stretched, all of us, I'm sure you and I as well, to make ends meet and to pay bills. Just going to the grocery store these days costs a lot more money than it used to. But you can make an impact if you give a little bit on Giving Tuesday. You can give on, there's a variety of websites you can give to, and a lot of organizations who would be more than happy to accept your gift.
So when we talk about nonprofits here, over the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of pledge drives kind of shift from like that one-time giving to sustaining donations. Are we seeing that in the nonprofit sector here?
Absolutely. Yeah. That is a great example. In fact, that is something that we've encouraged at Community Shares for many years, and a lot of organizations do. It's a growing way for folks to give. And as you mentioned, similar to workplace giving, when you make a monthly sustaining gift, you can give $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever your budget allows for. And that enables you to make a larger gift and have a bigger impact. And so, yes, those types of gifts are absolutely welcomed and encouraged.
And I'm sure easy to budget too. Kind of
exactly,
as well.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I know for myself, I have a few organizations that I give to monthly, and it's always a little easier to budget for and to make plans for the rest of my expenses that year.
So I want to ask for viewers who are tuning in, obviously on Sunday morning here, if they're so inspired to take like a quick actionable step in the next few days, what kind of advice would you give them? What's like a good place to start?
Yeah, well, I would recommend going to an organization like Community Shares that represents a large number of nonprofits. Also, there's groups like United Way that also have a large number of nonprofits where you can make one gift and it can support all charities with one gift, or you can designate to different nonprofits on the webpage. The other thing I really want to recommend folks do is take the time to educate yourself on some of the most pressing issues. One of the things that sets apart Community Shares in the community is our focus on advocacy, and the nonprofits that we work with, ensuring things like voting rights and fair maps, that type of thing as well. And so even if you feel like the amount that you can make, the amount of donation that you can make is small, you can educate yourself. You can share about these issues on your social media accounts. We don't encourage you to talk about it at holidays because we want to keep that peaceful. But outside of the time you're sharing a meal with a family, definitely take some time to educate yourself and share more information about some of the most important issues that we're facing today.
Well, Sherry Beal of Community Shares of Wisconsin, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, when we come back, a striking scene in the streets of Madison as a neo-Nazi group marches through campus and downtown. We'll hear more from an expert on anti-Semitism when we come back.
It's Black Friday extended now at A1 Furniture with savings up to 20% store-wide and amazing doorbuster deals. Get this sectional just $8.99. Plus get 48 months free financing on purchases over $9.99. Black Friday extended on now at A1 Furniture and Mattress.
It's here, Wisconsin's newest and most exclusive sports show. Wisconsin Huddle. It's more than just highlights. It's more than X's and O's. It's a dynamic 30-minute weekly special produced for the die-hard fans of Wisconsin athletics. Embark on an exclusive journey into the lives of some of UW's top athletes as we offer an inside look into their world. Watch Wisconsin Huddle Friday nights at 6:30. Brought to you by Ho Chunk Gaming Madison.
Delaney's. Steak, seafood, wine. Madison's finest award-winning supper club experience, now celebrating 50 years. Every menu item is made from scratch with select fresh seafood, hand-cut aged prime steaks, signature cocktails, and handcrafted desserts. For a limited time, enter to win a chef's table for 4 and enjoy throwback cocktail menus throughout our celebration. Visit experiencedelaney's.com to make a reservation and come celebrate our 50th anniversary with us.
Monona Plumbing and Fire Protection, a name you can trust when service is a must.
Monona Plumbing and Fire Protection is here 24 hours a day.
7 days a week for all your residential and commercial plumbing services.
From installation, repairs, and maintenance to complete sewer and drain cleaning, we've got you covered.
Visit MononaPFP.com.
Monona Plumbing and Fire Protection, a name you can trust when service is a must.
It's Black Friday extended at A1 Furniture with savings up to 20% off our everyday low prices and amazing doorbuster deals. Get this queen pillow top mattress just $2.99. Twin mattress just $99. Plus get 48 months free financing on purchases over $9.99. Black Friday extended on now at A1 Furniture and Mattress.
Welcome back. Last weekend, striking scenes as a neo-Nazi group paraded through downtown Madison and campus. Now, News 3 Now has made the editorial decision to not show video from that event. The march comes, though, amid heightened concerns of anti-Semitism, both here and abroad. We spoke earlier in the week with UW-Madison sociology professor Chad Goldberg for historical context.
There's no question that levels of anti-Semitism have been rising in the past decade or so. I would say that has started around 2014 when there was a previous flare-up in the conflict in the Middle East. It rose dramatically under the presidency of Donald Trump and has continued to climb. We know that from two sources, really, from the Anti-Defamation League, which has collected data on anti-Semitic incidents since the late 1970s, and also the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which collects data on hate crimes, including hate crimes that are directed against Jews. And those two sources of data show similar patterns. Anti-Semitism, after declining for a period of time, began rising in around 2014 and has reached record-breaking levels. I would say that Wisconsin is not an exception to those larger patterns. We know about levels of anti-Semitism in Wisconsin, in part thanks to the Milwaukee Jewish Community Relations Council, which collects data on anti-Semitic incidents in our state. And the Milwaukee Jewish Community Relations Council has reported that anti-Semitic incidents in Wisconsin have reached record high levels in recent years. So we're seeing very similar patterns in our state as we see nationwide. And I would say that we're seeing increases in anti-Semitism really around the world.
That was UW-Madison professor Chad Goldberg. When we come back, here's hoping you ate well this Thanksgiving. We will explore the Wisconsin connections to your Thanksgiving meal right after this.
MG&E, building your community energy company for the future through the power of working together. Committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Visit MGE2050.com.
At Informed Choice Insurance Agency, we're proud of our 5-star reviews.
My agent Matthew explained everything about Medicare and the needed supplemental insurance. He took the time to show me several different plans and the plus and minuses of each policy.
Andrea was amazing, from her knowledge to her presentation to her skills in navigating complicated and intimidating waters. I cannot emphasize enough how much she helped me and my family.
Need help with your Medicare or Marketplace health plans? Get 5-star service at Informed Choice Insurance Agency.
Save big money at Menards. Get maximum protection with Menards full-strength anti-freeze and coolant. It guards against rust and corrosion and features extended life coolant technology that's compatible for use in all automobiles, light-duty trucks, and motorcycles. Get a gallon for only $8.99 after rebate. Splash Ultimate Windshield Wash Fluid is effective down to negative 35 degrees. It clears ice and salt while delivering a clear streak-free shine every time. Pick up a gallon for just $2.29.
Welcome back to Sam's Hot Takes. What's hot now? Spectrum One Stream. It's internet, unlimited mobile, advanced Wi-Fi, and this Xumo Streambox free with Spectrum TV. It makes searching for shows and movies across live TV and streaming apps easy. It's streaming simplified.
Get internet for $49.99 a month, plus advanced Wi-Fi and your first line of unlimited mobile free for 12 months. Plus add Spectrum TV and get a free Xumo Streambox for 12 months. Call 833-788-4999. Visit Spectrum.com or stop by a Spectrum store today.
MG&E, building your community energy company for the future through the power of working together. Committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Visit MGE2050.com.
Welcome back. It's just after Thanksgiving, and many of you may have noticed a Wisconsin connection on your Thanksgiving table. Now, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel published an interesting thought experiment. What would happen if your Thanksgiving plate mirrored what Wisconsin farmers grow here in the state? It's a lot of what you'd expect. Get ready to fill your plate with a healthy portion of Wisconsin cheese. But look here, Wisconsin is dominant in cranberry production.
There absolutely is a lot of science that goes into the production of cranberries. We've been working with some of these cranberry growers from the 1850s all the way through now.
The berries are actually a native of North America and thrive in our state's sandy soil. Now, despite the views that you catch around harvest time of these flooded cranberry bogs, the vines do well in dry ground, and this year's crops were able to withstand this summer's drought.
We have had good fruit set and good fruit sizing, so things are looking good out there.
Globally, Wisconsin accounts for more than half the cranberry crop, which brings in more than $1 billion in revenue to the state. Now, this weekend also coincides with the end of gun deer season in Wisconsin, and it was a little bit of a slower season this year when we caught up with the Department of Natural Resources earlier in the week.
In general, I think the most common theme, and as people are discussing the weekend, I think they're using the word quiet and slow to a certain degree, based on what people see and hear in terms of shots fired and hearing about deer harvested. And indeed, harvest numbers were down this year compared to last year.
One of the main differences, the weather. News 3 Now meteorologist Alex Harrington pulled historical data for us. This time last year, we had some snow on the ground heading into that first weekend of gun deer season. And that makes for better hunting conditions.
That's a pretty standard reaction to when we have winter severity like we did last year, especially in the Northwest. We can see about a 25% decline in harvest the following year.
Stay with us next week. We'll have a preview of the Republican National Convention that will take over the city of Milwaukee in just less than a year. That does it for us this week. I'm Will Keneally. Have a great rest of your weekend.
This has been For the Record.